tried to burp into the mic at the start of this video, and it did not. It just didn't work because I forgot there's a little countdown before I start recording, and I accidentally burped at the countdown instead of when I actually started recording. So unfortunately, I didn't get that. Anyway, this is a video I wanted to make for a while now. I forgot I had the script completely written out until I was like going back on it because I tried to make another video, didn't like it, and I basically said, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna make that video." Pondered for a while, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I wrote out the whole entire thing for this video. So, and I was gonna make another video, and I was like, that's really weird to make without making this video first. So it's just to add context. um, but yeah, that is the whole thing of believing or growing up believing that I was stupid. It's a really weird thing to bring up because it's not something significant. I don't bring it up very often. It's only really kind of a recent discovery. Um, because I don't necessarily know what exactly rooted up or brought up the entire thing, but um, it's something that I definitely joke about a lot. You know, I'll make I'll make like self-deprecation jokes of, "Oh, I'm stupid" or whatever, or like, "Haha, I'm such a dumbass" or whatever. Um, and I just started to kind of go through that entire thing and decided to try and make a video about it because I don't know, maybe it will resonate with some of you guys, maybe it won't. I don't really know, but I thought it'd be an interesting video to make. So, to give a bit of background, uh, I mentioned this before in a video. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the double-edged side of acceptance in the furry fandom video. That as a kid, I grew up very, very sick. One of the reasons for that is that also I was born premature. I was born 5 weeks early, so my immune system was not great. I also have chronic asthma. If you guys don't know about that, there you guys go. I'm a chronic asthmatic. It sucks, but hey, what you gonna do? It was really bad when I was a kid. It's not horrible now as an adult, but it's still something that I still deal with, and it sucks. So yeah, it became more manageable as an adult, but as a kid, it was really bad. So like I always had to have like spare inhalers given to basically all of my teachers, and I had to bring them with me basically everywhere I went. Now there's been times where I've been like, shit, I forgot my inhaler. Shit, sure, I'll be grand. But it's definitely not as much as it used to be, but it definitely was something that hindered me a lot. And because I was sick a lot, I missed school a lot because of that. Which, when it came to that, I was kind of, I missed out a lot, so I had to play catch up because I was so sick. And not to mention, I also had a few other things growing up. I had like pneumonia twice. I had the shingles and a few other things. So it wasn't just my asthma, it was just my immune system in general just being fucky wucky. So like, but growing up, because of that, I didn't really get to go out all the time. So there was many times where I was just in the house just because I was so sick that I couldn't leave the house. And sometimes leaving the house meant making my condition worse. So of course my mom was like, you're not going outside when your chest is that bad. So I was always kind of in my own little world, so that's why I always I got really into art and movies and all that sorts of thing and video games and all that because I was so sick. So I kind of grew up in my own little world, so whenever it came to like the newest trends or whatever, I didn't really care too much about because I was always late to the party anyway, so I just kind of preferred having my own little thing. It's just a little side note. But yeah, so when it came to academia in primary school, just basically anything creative was where I excelled in. I loved being creative, and most of my other stuff, like when it came to geography, history, science, whatever, I didn't really like science, to be fair, because I just could not get it. I was okay in, but the one thing I did struggle with was maths. Don't know why, just never could. It was always my weak spot. Still is. So yeah. Other than that, I I was pretty okay. I wasn't too bad in primary school when it came to me with education or being called stupid, or whatever. But there's definitely things I struggled with, but everyone has their subject that they struggle with. That doesn't necessarily make them stupid. But maths was the one thing I could just never grasp whatsoever. Secondary school became a different ball game, though. I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues. I was dealing with anorexia, social anxiety, bullying, and just trauma in general. And so while I was battling one beast throughout primary school, that being my physical health, I was tackling a completely different beast when I was in secondary school. And also, not to mention hormones, being a teenager, finding out I was LGBT, and then going through puberty as a trans person. It's this whole other thing. Um, so naturally, because of all those issues I was having, my studies were falling behind, and they just became like the least of my focus. I felt a lot of pressure due to me being so behind, and when it and it showed that I was behind a lot. It was very evident that I was behind, and I was and when it was shown that I was behind, whether it be, disappointed looks from teachers or me asking for help during class and just me not getting it, I was met with dumbfounded looks or was made fun of from other students or from my friend group, in quotation marks. It got to the point where they would, if I got a test back or something like that, they would like take my test and look at me and be like, "Oh yeah, of course you're stupid, so of course you get this on the test." And I started to internalize that a lot, that I was just stupid, and that's why instead of being empathetic or having a self-compassion towards myself, I just started to internalize that, yeah, okay, I'm stupid, you know? Um, and just to give an insight as to how behind I was, when it came to other students, I was teaching myself bass clef in 5th year, and we learned bass clef in 2nd and 3rd year, and I have no memory of it because of just how bad my mental health was at that time, that I just do not remember it, and I had to teach it basically to myself for the entirety of 5th year, and I did not know it the best, and I just did not know it, and it sucked having to basically, while everyone else just knew it off by heart, I'd have to write down the notes every single time. And that really sucked because music was something I really wanted to excel in. It was actually one of the things I was going to study in college, but because I fell behind so much, my career path had changed from music to art and film. So, yeah, that's a little fun fact for you guys. The only year I could actually focus my studies were my last 2 years of school, technically. Um, so from ages about 17 to 18. But COVID hit halfway through 5th year, and I had to do my entirety of my Leavenscert at home, bar art, because of COVID, and I was immune compromised, of course, being asthmatic. And that sucked ass, because I basically had to teach myself for an entire year, and because I was one of those few students that had to do stuff remotely, teachers would often forget to send me things, and then we get to class and I'm like, I was never sent this, and then they were like, oh shit, sorry. And I understand that we were all like getting adjusted and it was a whole new thing for everybody, but it still didn't make it suck any less. And there was no way I was gonna risk going into school with knowing how bad my asthma can get, especially with a disease that affects the respiratory system heavily. Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna fuck with that. Definitely not. Safe to say, my school life was not the easiest and was just always an uphill battle. But because I was so behind my peers, I unfortunately had that belief cemented into my head only up until about the last year, and that was that I'm stupid. And I dumbed myself down purely for the fact that I did not have the confidence in my actual ability to be smart and intellectual. This became almost like a personality trait of sorts of, haha, I'm so stupid, when in reality I had dumbed myself down and actually knew things, but was so scared of being wrong, I would purposely say the wrong thing as that was expected of me. But anyone who actually knew me could see right through it, and that I wasn't actually stupid, and was smart when I wanted to be. This annoyed them because they could see the truth while I paraded around this belief that I was stupid when I was far from. This is a very big thing that really made me, I guess, think. Because I remember kind of having this revelation and talking to my best friend about it, and she was like, yeah, that's one thing that really fucking annoys me about you, is that you say you're fucking stupid, but you're actually really fucking smart. And you say that you're stupid, and you're not stupid. You're fucking far from stupid. And this definitely became a whole lot more apparent after I was in an abusive relationship, where this belief was often weaponized against me. I had a lot of introspection and realized I actually just never gave myself the opportunity or chance to be smart. I was stripping myself of every opportunity to educate myself on topics, even ones I wanted to learn but was afraid I couldn't grasp it, or not being able to catch up with the rest of the class. I'm not in school anymore. I can go at my own pace, and I'm not even being graded either. I can relax, and so I opened up Google Doc and wrote down the stuff I wanted to learn about or maybe be more educated on. I made playlists, I read articles, I compiled articles, I wrote notes, I read books. This is a major win in my PTSD recovery, known as long-term reconstruction, and even healing my inner teenager who was desperately trying to keep up with the rest of everyone else. Basically, I felt like I was in a race with a bunch of others, but I was carrying a massive boulder with me to cross the finish line, and being judged as to why I couldn't meet everyone else there. I know it sounds incredibly pretentious saying this, but I know that more than likely there was plenty of other kids who were in a similar predicament that I was in. Life knows no bounds and will bite anyone's ass when it feels like it simply because it can, and I'm not special for that. That's one of the reasons I'm actually making this video. I just want to say, for anyone else who may be in a similar situation that I was in, is that just to cut yourself some slack and give yourself some compassion, as we are all not dealt the same cards in life. And with that, I want to discuss some of the topics I want to educate myself on. And with that information and research that I do, I want to make videos about them. Simply because I just like learning and sharing things, because, hey, this is what it's for, First off, we got anti-intellectualism and critical thinking, mainly because it is in hyperdrive right now, especially with the whole Trump administration and what's going on in America. I feel so bad for all my Americans. I am so fucking sorry. So, and just overall, learning about critical thinking, and especially because in Finland, they have a whole, educational program for kids to basically learn how to decipher propaganda and fake news. And I'm like, could you imagine how much the world would be different if that was taught fucking everywhere? This is why Finland is the best at education. Cultism, Satanism, paganism, and just witchcraft in general. If you guys didn't know, I'm a Satanist. I also kind of identify as pagan. What strain of pagan? I don't know. I practice witchcraft. I've been wanting to understand more things learning about the history, learning about how it was used during reigns of fascism, because that's a big thing that people don't really know about, and I just want to learn about that sort of thing. Learning about how to use runes, learning more about tarot and using my intuition with tarot, because I am really into divination, and learning to work with the moon in my practices, and that sorts of things, and just learning about lots of other things, but because there's just so much more I could get into. But yeah, consumerism, fast fashion, and advertisement. I'm really into learning about overconsumption, and it's something that I have I guess a moral dilemma with, because I'm a collector. So now I'm like, how much of this is me just being a collector, or just me having a shopping addiction and consuming? And just learning about fast fashion as well is just something I like learning about, especially because I don't buy clothes often, and when I see people buy these massive Shein hauls or whatever, it kind of drives me up the fucking wall. So yeah, and just learning about the ethics of advertisement and stuff is also something that's just very interesting to me. Doom scrolling and dopamine detox. This has been my new hyperfixation. A lot of people talk about hyperfixations on a show or whatever. I fixate on concepts or ideas, and this is one of them. And I'm making a whole video about that, so I'm gonna leave that alone and come back to it in a later date. Political and historical vocabulary, mainly because I will be reading stuff about politics or whatever, and I will come across so many words I do not understand. And that's mainly because I was learning them in school and then whatever, and so I need to understand those types of, those words, so I can actually, teach myself the other things I want to learn. Leftist theory is another one of those things, because I am a raging leftist. I know, kill me, I'm so woke. But yeah, I love leftist theory, and that sort of thing. So yeah, the South African apartheid. I feel like this is something I should know more about, but I don't really. I know bits about it, but I don't. And that's because I felt like I couldn't understand it because I'm too stupid. And I don't think I am anymore. So yeah, and I feel like it's one of those important things I should know more about, especially because my best friend is South African. And yeah, so yeah. Israel and Palestine and the one state versus two state solution. I read a book recently called On Palestine by Noam Chomsky, and I'm afraid I'm gonna say his name wrong, but I'll have the other author there. And I would say it was the best book to start with, but it had a lot of very important talking points, and it did teach me a lot. The one thing I didn't really fully understand was the whole one state versus two state solution very much, so I want to, understand what does that mean, and just learning more about the Israel and Palestine conflict. Ukraine and Russia, I know basically nothing about it. All I know is that they're at war right now. I don't know exactly what the war is over, and I feel like I should know a lot more about it, and I don't, and I feel kind of embarrassed for not knowing about it, so I would do want to, understand what that is all about. Irish history. Learning more about the Irish history. Of course I know about the 1916 Rising and that sort of thing, but I feel like there's definitely some more stuff I don't know much more about, and of course I can know about the famine and the coffin ships, that sort of thing, but I feel like there's definitely a lot more stuff that I need to educate a little bit more about myself on, and especially during Irish paganism and before we were colonized, because that is something as a Roman Empire of mine, because especially when I see people be like, oh, why do we learn Irish? It's dead. And I'm like, do you know why it's dead? It's because we got fucking colonized. American history and American sphere of Marxists and communism. I don't know where it comes from, but every time I see it, I just think it's so fucking funny. So I just want to research more about it. Why are Americans so afraid of communism? I don't know. So I want to learn more about it. Salem witch trials. I know we did cover it in primary school like once or twice, but other than that, we never went back on it. So I just want to learn more about it. I do have a book on it, so I probably will read that to get more information. But incel culture just fascinates me. I did read one documentary on it, and it low-key blew me away. And of course, I watched Adolescence recently, and so I don't know, it just kind of interests me because I'm just kind of like, oh my god, these people exist. White fragility and white privilege. I just want to learn more about race and what it's like to be, and like, I don't know what it's like to be another race. Understand more about peoples of other race, of what they go through, and talking about white fragility, because I do believe white privilege does exist, as a white person myself, and it seems interesting to me, and more detail about it. I don't really know what else to say much more about it, other than there is a few books I do want to read up about it. I think there's one book, I think it's like White People, We Need to Talk About Race or something like that, and I think it's written by a black author. And there's definitely a few more other books of that same branch that I do not remember off the top of my head, but I do know that was one that's been on my radar, and I'm like, if I see it and I have money, I'll pick it up. This one is kind of off topic, but Elder Scrolls lore. I feel like there's more Elder Scrolls lore that I just have not delved into, and I would love to learn more about that. And The Witcher lore is also another thing. I really want to read The Witcher books, because I love both The Witcher and Elder Scrolls, because I'm a nerd. So, yeah. And the Appalachian Mountains, because I hear so many people talk about, like, the weird, like, creepy side on TikTok, and I'm like, what the fuck is actually going on? And actually research, like, what the fuck is actually going on, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I probably am also saying it wrong. There's, like, a big debate on what it's actually, pronounced, but that's the pronunciation I found. So, and also, I'm not American, so, I don't know. But yeah. That's basically it. So I'm going to be making videos basically talking about whatever the hell I want now, and as a furry, because being a furry is about being yourself. And I'll always fucking stand by that. And every furry has their thing and things they like to talk about, or their niche, and it's because furry is an identity, right? But it's really important that we talk about the other things while also being a furry, in order to, I guess, redefine the furry content sphere. Because I feel like the furries that stand out the most are the ones who don't just talk about being a furry. There's this one guy in particular that comes to mind. I think his name is Token. He's a red panda fursuiter, and he fixes up old arcade cabinets, and it's really fucking cool. I feel like those people bring so much to the table, and there's so much that we can do as a community of supporting people who don't just make, I guess, for lack of a better word, pandering content. Because there's only so much you can make with furry without it feeling like you're being pandered to. You know what I mean? Because furry is just so fucking broad. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. And, yeah.